Hey friends, a question I get asked all the time is which platform should I use for my website? And this applies more to a client who is maybe doing a redesign or a client who is starting from scratch. And the answer I tell people is there's no right and wrong platform. They all do their own thing. They all have their own areas of pros and their own cons. What you want to look at is what are your 3 to 5 year goals for your business and build accordingly. Because the other day I was talking to a guy and he had a WordPresscom site and he's looking to build an e-commerce site. And I was kind of confused why he would have picked WordPress.com. Like WordPress.com is basically the do-it-yourself builder version of WordPress.org. And the WordPress.org is that open source one that developers use, or most websites are built using WordPress.org. And he was really partial towards this .com version. And I couldn't figure out why. I was like, why do you want this? And he's like, well, I want to be able to manage my own website. And I said, okay, that's understandable. But I was trying to explain to him that the WordPress.com version, for example, like a Wix, like other tools, they're very based on a no-tech, low-tech client doing their own website, which is fine. But it doesn't give you a lot of control if you want something custom or you want to scale or you want to add technology or integrations or apps or tools or plugins or add functionality or change the design and have sort of that creative control over the website. And so the question I asked him, I said, there's no question, this is a good tool. There's nothing wrong with this tool. But is this going to support your business in the next 3 years? Because the thing about web design and development, if you do it properly, it's kind of a hassle. You got to plan it. You got to write all your content. You've got to do the design. You got to do the development. You got to do the testing. You got to do the maintenance on it. You got to keep it running. You got to change stuff as you get data in from your target market. Especially if you're doing e-commerce, you've got to do all the e-commerce stuff and shipping and all these different things, and maybe custom this and custom that and PayPal integrations. And there's a lot of moving pieces. And you don't want to do it more often than you have to. Honestly, I run a web team and I tell people, I'm like, trust me, like to do it properly, it's not simple. There's a lot to do. So when choosing your platform for your website, don't just think about today. Think about 3 years from now. Because ideally, every business should redo their website in 3 to 5 years because things change, right? The brands change, technology change, your team change, probably your service changes. Maybe you do a rebrand, you change your color. So probably in 3 to 5 years, you're going to change your website anyway. But for now, when you're choosing from the get-go, think with the end in mind. So this guy, he said he couldn't decide, he wasn't sure. And there's nothing I could do that could help him understand this WordPress.com, if you want to build custom e-com, it's not going to work, right? So just figure out what your objections are. I told him, I was trying to answer all his questions. It wasn't really working. But I said, hey, go do your due diligence. Research WordPress.com versus WordPress.org versus Shopify versus BigCommerce versus Magento. Do your due diligence. Figure out what's going to work. It's your business. You have to choose what works for you. But again, you don't want to have to do it over if you absolutely don't have to. So that's how I always tell people. I'm like, there's no wrong platform. Just look at the one that's going to last for the next couple of years so you can enjoy, get some traction, do some testing, get your feet wet in your market. And then once you get more data, redo the site. But again, you want it to be working. You want it to be mobile, things like that. So how about you? Have you ever done that where you started with something simpler and you had to redo it later? How was that? Was that okay? Was it stressful? Do you wish you had done it? Kind of look into the big picture in the beginning. Would love your thoughts. I'll talk to you tomorrow.